With a story surrounding the tragedy of Radigan and Renala, it's no surprise that Liurnia of the Lakes has an abundance of both incantations and sorceries available. Outside of the Legacy dungeons, there's a total of 27 different spells to find, so I've split my usual video to make it a bit easier to sort through. Hello again, fellow Tarnished. I'm StoneBear13. Let's dive right in and collect every incantation within Liurnia. To kick things off, we'll start at the scenic Isle site of Grace. From here, we can look to the south-southwest to see a fire monk camp on the shore. Head over and clear out the few enemies that are waiting for you. Resting on the western corpse near the tent, you'll find the Fire Monk's Prayerbook. When taken to an incantation trainer, this will allow you to purchase O-Flame and Surge O-Flame, which can both be boosted by the Giant Seal for 20% extra damage. O-Flame will require 16 faith and cost 16 FP per cast, releasing a large fire blast from your hands that can be charged to increase its size and damage. This is essentially a stronger version of Catch Flame, however, it cannot be cast in motion, it cannot be chain cast, and its cast time is considerably slower, so be sure to adjust accordingly. As for Surge O-Flame, it will require 9 faith and cost 1 FP to use. This channeled incantation shoots a spray of fire continuously from your hand when cast, consuming FP and stamina over time. Unfortunately, this is a rather weak spell, and outside of using this to reset frostbite buildup on enemies, you'll find very little use for this incantation as you progress through the game. Heading up the path to the east of the Fire Monk camp, we'll eventually make our way to an Everjail. This is the Malefactor's Everjail, and inside we'll find Adon, Thief of Fire. After you fell this boss, you'll be rewarded with the legendary incantation Flame of the Fell God. Requiring 41 faith and costing 34 FP per cast, this incantation is also boosted by the Giant Seal for 20% extra damage. However, it will take up 2 spell slots when equipped. In my opinion, this is entirely worth it, as Flame of the Fell God is a monster of a spell. You summon a massive fireball above your head, and once it's fully formed, it will seek your target for a short distance and explode. The initial explosion damage is substantial, and the knockback is huge when dealing with medium or small-sized enemies. After that, it leaves fire on the ground in the affected area for 8 seconds, dealing periodic damage to enemies. This is one of my favorite incantations for initiating fights, as you immediately have the upper hand whether your target is knocked back or not. Our next spell will come from a scarab, hidden off to the northwest of the Rose Church. From the fallen ruins of the Lakeside of Grace, you can find it by running west, past the church, and slightly south. The scarab holds the incantation Bloodflame Blade, which will require 12 faith and 10 arcane to use, costing 20 FP per cast. This will coat your right-hand weapon in Bloodflame for 60 seconds, giving it fire damage, as well as inflicting 40 bleed buildup over 2 seconds per strike. With fast-striking weapons or Ashes of War, this can be utilized to apply bleed very quickly. Off to the eastern side of the zone, we'll head to the Artist's Shack. Depending on how you made your way here, you may have already met the Lane-Del Knight patrolling the area at the bottom of the hill. Defeating him will reward you with the Dragon Cult Prayerbook. Bringing this to an incantation trainer will allow you to purchase Lightning Spear, Honed Bolt, and Electrify Armament. Lightning Spear will require 17 faith and cost 18 FP per cast, and is boosted by the Gravelstone Seal for 15% increased damage. This is a very fast incantation, and it travels rather far for its cost, and it can be charged to increase its damage as well. The true strength of this incantation is that its uncharged cast doesn't trigger most enemies' spell dodge mechanic, allowing you to almost guarantee a hit in most situations. Next is Honed Bolt, which will require 24 faith and cost 12 FP per cast, and is also boosted by the Gravelstone Seal for 15% damage. This incantation calls down a bolt of lightning on your target, although its effective range is quite short. On larger enemies, the ability to chain cast this spell allows you to rip through health bars, granted that you can get within range to use it. The final incantation unlocked by the Dragon Cult Prayerbook is Electrify Armament, which requires 15 faith and costs 27 FP per cast, enchanting your right-hand weapon with lightning damage for 90 seconds. And this will find its best use against knights and other enemies with low lightning resistance. From the eastern tableland side of Grace, Our next incantation can be found within the Fire Monk camp to the southwest. After clearing out the enemies, resting on a cross-legged corpse, you'll find Flame Cleanse Me. This incantation will require 12 faith and cost 14 FP per cast. 15 fire damage will be dealt to you per cast, alleviating any poison or scarlet rot buildup, and curing you of either if you've already been afflicted. This is an extremely useful incantation when you don't have boluses available, and I highly recommend grabbing this, as you'll want it for some other zones and enemies later in the game. Now we'll head to the Church of Vows to visit everyone's favorite turtle, Pastor Muriel. Here, we'll grab the sole incantation he has for sale, Blessings Boon. Requiring 24 faith and costing 30 FP per cast, this spell casts in an area of effect around you, granting a 90-second buff to you and your allies. This buff will restore 8 HP per second, healing a total of 720 HP over its duration. This incantation is also affected by the Old Lord's Talisman, increasing its buff to 117 seconds and its amount healed to 936 HP. Having to once again say goodbye to Pastor Muriel, we'll head to a less wholesome area to the north, the Frenzied Flame Village. We'll start from the Bellum Church to get there. Head east across the road and turn north up the hill following the cliffs to your right. Once you reach the large angled rocks, you're going to want to slow down a bit, as this area has some frenzied rats. Push past them and head over to this rock out in the open. From here, we can see the Frenzied Tower, and that's right where we have to head. Run east once the ice stops burning, and down the rocks. Head southeast to reach a spirit spring. Jump up the cliff and take out the rats in the bottom of the tower. Climb 2 ladders to find a chest containing the Howl of Shabriri incantation. Real fast, do make sure to head all the way to the top and eliminate all of the enemies there, as they don't respawn and the Frenzied Eye will disappear from the tower. Now then, this spell will require 33 faith and cost 21 FP per cast. The Howl will cause any enemies nearby to gain 35 madness buildup per tick, giving 6 madness per tick to yourself. This also causes some minor damage to enemies in the area, and leaves you with a 40-second buff. This buff will give you a 25% damage increase, with the trade-off of 30% increased damage taken, and an increased chance for enemies to attack you. Our final incantation can be found nearby, just downhill from the Church of Inhibition. Head down southeast from the church, and once you reach the Frenzied Ghost on your left, turn south and go down the rocks. Guarded by some frenzied rats will be a scarab that when defeated drops the Frenzied Burst incantation. Requiring 22 faith and costing 24 FP per cast, this incantation can be boosted by the Frenzied Flame Seal for a 20% damage increase. This spell releases a laser from your eyes with impressive damage and even more impressive range. This can be charged up, increasing its damage, giving it piercing, and also inflicting massive stamina damage to shields. Enemies hit will also suffer 90 madness buildup, 105 when fully charged, and you'll suffer 20 madness per cast, 30 if fully charged. Since this incantation deals fire damage as well, this can be further boosted by any other fire damage buffs. Of all of these incantations, one stands out as the best in Liurnia: Lightning Spear. It was in a close race with Frenzied Burst and Flame Cleanse Me, but overall, with Madness not being applicable to most enemies, and Bolus an option for status effect clearing, this incantation was too strong not to take the top spot. Having the ability to bypass enemies' innate spell dodging is insanely useful, and this incantation hits really hard, and when used with a true Dragon Cult Faith build, this incantation can benefit from massive damage boosts from multiple sources, shredding groups and large foes alike. And that's every incantation within Liurnia of the Lakes outside of the Legacy Dungeons. I hope this video has been helpful for you, and if it has, please leave a like or a comment, and be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you can be notified of all of my upcoming Elden Ring content. Once again, I'm StoneBear13, and thanks for watching.